Hey, how's it going everyone? I hope you're all doing well as usual. So I'm back today with yet another video, and this one is another video response. One I've been planning to do for a while actually, because I did see a few other people do responses to it and I thought it was really interesting. So this is a thread created by Myke C-Town. If you're not familiar with Myke, I would be surprised actually because he has a massive channel. He's got about 60,000 subscribers, maybe more, and he likes a really eclectic mix of music, including metal, punk, hip hop, like all kinds of styles really. So yeah, very popular channel with good reason. He's a really funny, witty guy, good singer as well, and he recently created this thread just to say, you know, he was sick of doing videos where he just presented music, so he thought he'd create a series of questions for people to answer. So this is like a music related Q&A. So 25 questions and you answer those questions with examples of music. So I have done Q&As before on my channel, but this is a new set of questions. Maybe there's some overlap with thread responses I've done before, and like Myke said, I can't promise that my answers are going to be different, you know, to similar questions from before, but you know, things change, things evolve, but I think generally speaking, it's consistent anyway. So yeah, 25 questions, and because we have a bit to get through, we will just get straight into it. But I'll just say this, if you're not familiar with Myke's channel, I will leave the link in the description. Okay, so let's get to the questions. Question 1, what's your all-time favorite song? Okay, so I could answer that in a heartbeat, but I mean, this is obviously difficult. I'll go into the background. I listen to so many subgenres of metal and, you know, other music as well, so it's hard to name just one because often I say my favorite song or favorite album from certain categories. But if I had to choose one all-time favorite song, it would be Wolves by Marduk, which is from their amazing Those of the Unlight album. A lot of you are probably already familiar. This is my favorite album of all time. Just amazing Swedish black metal, fast and aggressive, yet melodic and atmospheric, so it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, just look at the portraits of the guys in the band on the back. You know there's going to be dark atmosphere on this one. But yes, my favorite song of all time is track 3, Wolves. I remember when I first got into this album back in the day, that song stood out because it had that kind of mid-paced groovy introductory riff, but it's just absolutely brilliant. I love the scream of the word wolves that Joachim says at the beginning. It's just so powerful. And in addition to that, there's just a variety of tempos in this song, black metal tempos, you know, ranging from like fast and blasting to slow and groovy, and then some atmospheric moments. So there's a lot of twists and turns in this song. I also really like the lyrics, which are very mystical, and the guitar solo as well, especially leading up to the main solo, like the vocals, that the lead starts along with the vocals, you know, that section of the song which says, they, the warriors they were, in a never-ending maze of confusion, and then a brilliant guitar solo. And I just love all the atmospheric twists and turns and moments on this song. So yeah, that would, if I had to choose one, it would be, my favorite song would be Wolves by Marduk. Okay, question 2, do you prefer listening to albums or playlists? Quick answer, albums, definitely. I'm an albums person. I don't listen to any playlists. I don't listen to, you know, online platforms like Spotify, things like that. No, I just can't be bothered with it. I'm pretty old school in that sense that I just like to listen to physical media. You know, CDs and records, that's how I listen to music. I remember there was a stage, even when I was copying CDs, you know, to my iTunes, but I had to buy a CD player because I just hate listening to music out of a computer. So absolutely albums. In terms of playlists, no, not at all in terms of modern platforms, but when I was younger, I used to really enjoy making mixtapes and CDs, especially for friends who weren't into the kind of music that I was, and I made them sort of in hope that they would understand it or appreciate it, and most of the time they didn't, but some people did. But yeah, only playlists in terms of mixtapes and mixed CDs, but that's a thing of the past now. So yeah, for me, definitely albums over playlists. Okay, track 3, what's your go-to song for a road trip? Okay, I actually have 2. So the first one is Restless Gypsy by Wasp. And no, not because of the title and lyrics, even though they're fitting, obviously, Restless Gypsy, related to travel, but it's just because that song, just like a lot of Wasp songs actually, it reminds me, when I hear it, I just picture myself driving through the desert, you know, in somewhere like Nevada or New Mexico, you know, on a highway, Route 66, something like that. But yeah, it's just got that kind of atmosphere. So I think it would be good driving through the desert music, Restless Gypsy. And another go-to song for a road trip for me would be All Along the Watchtower. That's Jimi Hendrix's cover of the Bob Dylan song. The reason is, obviously there's the opening line which says, "There must be some way out of here," said the Joker to the thief, so it's fitting as in you're departing on a trip. But it's also the fact that that song was used in the British film Withnell and I, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. That's about two sort of hippie-esque unemployed actors, you know, who have substance abuse problems and everything, and they decide to go away for the weekend in the country just to rejuvenate. And it's set in London in the 60s, like 1969, I think. And when you see them take off, it's this amazing scene where they're driving away in this beaten up car in London, and there's wrecking balls smashing down buildings, and this song's playing, All Along the Watchtower. So I associate it with that scene of departure, but like I said, the lyric is also appropriate because it says, "There must be some way out of here." And I've actually played this song on road trips. Yeah. So they would be my two go-to road trip songs. Question 4. Which song always makes you feel happy? That's difficult. There's probably a few out there, but I decided to go with the first one that popped into my head. And that is Limelight by Rush. Of course, Rush, the Canadian band, need no introduction, even though I discovered them only recently. But, you know, sort of proto-metal prog rock band. But yeah, just the song Limelight. I really like the guitar and vocal melodies in it. It's just got a nice groove and sort of, I don't know, feel-good atmosphere to that song. So, and it's also very atmospheric. So yeah, that would be the first one that springs to mind. So a song that puts me in a good mood or makes me happy, Limelight by Rush. Okay, question 5. Is there a song that reminds you of your childhood? Yes, so many, obviously. But what immediately sprung to mind was any song from this album. This is Paul Simon, Graceland. Yeah, I just associate this with my childhood because my parents had the album, and when I was a kid, I used to, you know, listen to my parents' records, as you do. And yeah, I found myself listening to this a lot in the 80s, you know, when I was like 7, 8 years old. So, and it's still a great album. Like, I listened to it with my brother and some friends the other day at the beach, and I really enjoyed it. So yes, this reminds me of my childhood. Any song from Paul Simon's Graceland. Okay, question 6. What was the last concert you went to? Okay, the last concert I went to was the Brazilian death metal band Crisian, or as they're sometimes known, Crisian. So if you're not familiar with Crisian, they play very blasting, intense death metal. Sort of, if you like bands like Deicide, you will probably like Crisian. But yeah, I saw this band in Bangkok a couple of months ago, and it was just sort of a random tour actually. They played in this very small club where there was probably like 100 to 200 people, but the band was absolutely awesome, on fire, and they were really thankful to everyone in the crowd for turning up. So yeah, just phenomenal show. And I've been a fan ever since this album was released, Conquerors of Armageddon, and it just made my day when they played the title track from this album. So yeah, that was the last concert I went to, Crisian in Bangkok a couple of months ago. Sorry, and I keep alternating between Crisian and Crisian, just like Celtic Frost and Celtic Frost, but it's Celtic Frost. Everyone knows that. All right, next one. Number 7, how do you discover new music? Okay, so believe it or not, these days it's through you. And when I say you, I'm talking about through YouTube. So I've been subscribing to YouTube channels, you know, for the last 8 years or so. And through the channels that I really like, I've got a lot of recommendations from people. So yeah, it's essentially through YouTube and word of mouth, like, and also platforms, social media, for example, Instagram and Facebook, and also recommendations from friends. So in general, that all falls under the broad umbrella or category of word of mouth. Yeah, it was different back in the day, like in the 90s. I used to discover new music just through going into record shops and music shops, and also through mail order catalogs like Relapse. But like, that's kind of a thing of the past. And where I live now, there are no music shops. So yeah, essentially for me, it's through word of mouth, and the primary way, YouTube. Yeah. So thank you everyone for your recommendations. I've made so many purchases based on people's YouTube recommendations. So there you go. Your videos are valuable. All right, and question 8, what's your favorite genre of music? Okay, I listen to 3 main styles of music: black metal, death metal, and heavy metal. That sounds a bit like in the Blues Brothers, we have 2 types of music, country and western. No, but yeah, black metal, death metal, and heavy metal. And I would have to say of those 3, probably black metal, you know, in terms of the amount of albums I own and frequency of listening. So they're the 3 main styles: black metal, death metal, and heavy metal. And I would say that they account for about 90 to 95% of the music I listen to. But there are also other styles of music that I appreciate, but more on that later. So yeah, but definitely black metal for the favorite genre of music. Okay, question 9. Do you have a favorite movie soundtrack? Yes, absolutely I do. And this is the same answer that Jeff from Mendicant Media made. It's Conan the Barbarian. So the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. This is just such an absolutely epic, brilliant soundtrack, like featuring bombastic classical music, and it's just so powerful. It really puts images in your head, but you get those from the movie anyway. But it's so atmospheric, and it did actually influence some black metal bands, for example, Graveland. So yeah, absolutely love this. Such a powerful soundtrack, Conan the Barbarian. And another one that I also quite like is the Black Hawk Down soundtrack, especially, you know, with the traditional African music and that, this really sort of evocative, piercing vocal melodies in the Black Hawk Down soundtrack. All right. Question 10, how am I going for time? Not too bad. Okay, question 10, what song makes you feel nostalgic? Okay, again, there are so many, but I decided to go with Great Southern Land by Icehouse. So if you're not familiar, Icehouse was a famous, how would you describe them? Like a pop rock, synth pop, electronic band from the 80s in Australia. And yeah, I think Great Southern Land is probably their most famous song, but they did have another couple of hits. But it's, you know, talking about the landscape of Australia. And I remember when I was like 8 or 9 years old, the movie Young Einstein came out, starring Yahoo Serious. I'm not sure if people know that movie, but that movie did a reprise of that song as a single. So yeah, that was what made the song famous once again. So it was already a big hit in Australia, but and it's not just because I'm Australian, but it has a great atmosphere. And I remember when I was growing up, I thought, oh, that's an amazing sound. It's really mystical. And it was sort of like a song of my generation, in the sense that that movie made it popular once again when I was about 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, so Great Southern Land by Icehouse. If you haven't heard the song, check it out. Okay, question 11. Are you more into lyrics or the beat of a song? Okay, so if you're talking in that simplified sense, I would say the beat of a song. So in other words, like the music is more important than the lyrics to me. Like when I was a lot younger, because I didn't own much music then, I used to always read lyric sheets obsessively. But now for me, the most important thing is the music. Like it's the way the song sounds. The music is what captivates me, so therefore it's what I like. And especially with a lot of music I listen to, like extreme metal, it's almost like the vocals, while they do impart lyrics, it's more like the vocals are another musical instrument that blends with the music. So yeah, and also the fact that there are some bands maybe which have lyrics which I, you know, don't like or don't agree with, but it doesn't matter to me. That's not important. The music is the most important thing. So definitely for me, the beat of a song is more important than the lyrics. Okay, and some people doing some removal work out the front, so I'm put off by them because I've got them in the corner of my eye. Do I have an audience? Not for now. Good. All right. Okay, question 12. Do you like karaoke, and what's your go-to song? Okay, my answer to that is not anymore. I haven't sung karaoke in quite a few years, much to everyone's relief. But no, I don't like it anymore, but I used to. My go-to song, I used to find that it was hard to sing heavy metal or glam metal songs because the high-pitched voice and the melodies were hard to sing. Like, essentially, I can't sing for shit. So I used to always enjoy singing grunge and punk songs. So probably my go-to song was Drain You by Nirvana. Kind of a deep cut, but I really like atmospheric vocals in the chorus, especially those sort of blended harmonized vocals. Not that I could do that very successfully. And I also like singing Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones because it's a fun song. Same with Rock and Roll Radio by Ramones. Yeah. Okay, so they were my go-to karaoke songs, but I don't sing karaoke anymore. Okay, question 3. What's a song that you can listen to on repeat? Interesting. Okay, a song that I can listen on repeat is by this band, The Meads of Asphodel, but not from this album. If you're not familiar, The Meads of Asphodel are a black metal band from the UK, but what's interesting about them is they incorporate other styles into their music, like psychedelic influences, experimental music, surf rock, and that kind of thing. But the song I'm talking about by Meads of Asphodel has quite a controversial but misunderstood title. The song I really like is by Meads of Asphodel is their cover of Hawkwind's Assassins of Allah. So just to give you some background there, this song, it was originally performed by the band Hawkwind, the psychedelic band. And what the meaning of Hawkwind's song Assassins of Allah is a metaphorical comparison between the medieval Islamic order of the Assassins, founded by Hassan-i-Saban, and the 20th century Palestinian militant group Black September, connecting their methods of terror and political assassination across different eras. Okay, so before I go any further, I'm not political at all. I'm not making any political statement, and I certainly do not support, terrorism, especially in the name of an archaic, oppressive religion. In my opinion, fuck religion, fuck terrorism, especially terrorism in the name of a fundamentalist religion. Yeah, fuck all that. But the reason I like this song is because it's just so atmospheric. So like I said, Hawkwind originally did it, and then the Meads of Asphodel included this cover on an album called Jihad, or EP, which showcased songs with a lyrical concept regarding Middle Eastern terrorism. So just to be clear, they weren't glorifying or condoning it, certainly not. It was just a theme, and this EP Jihad was released as a split with Mayhem, which included Carnage and Freezing Moon. But the reason I like this song, even though I hate the title and what it's about, but the song Assassins of Allah, it just has a very Middle Eastern atmosphere, and it's incredibly atmospheric, especially with the Meads of Asphodel's cover, because they incorporate raspy black metal vocals, and the keyboards which they incorporated just lift the atmosphere so much. And I also really like the Middle Eastern sounding clean vocals. I think Middle Eastern music sounds absolutely amazing sometimes. So yeah, whenever I hear this song, I think they actually called it Hassam-i-Sabah, but then they changed it to Assassins of Allah because it was easy to say. But yeah, usually when I hear that song, I listen to it 3 or 4 times in a row, because once is simply not enough. So there you go. All right. Sorry, I've got... Can I move this up? Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, question 14. Who is your favorite frontman? That's hard again, because there are so many different styles or subgenres that I listen to, but I decided to go with Legion of Marduk. So Legion was, of course, the band's mid-period vocalists, from vocalist from 1995 to 2003. So he appeared on about 6 Marduk albums, and I just think he's just a fantastic black metal frontman and frontman in general, because his voice was just full of absolute sheer power. So he's actually retired from music now, but when he was the vocalist from Marduk, he was firing on all cylinders, like a powerful, hateful, nasty, belligerent voice. And also I like the fact that whenever you saw him performing live, he was 110% into it, performing with so much charisma and energy, banging his head, and he was often, miming or acting out the lyrics, which I thought was really cool as well. So he wasn't just randomly screaming, he was actually saying the words with absolute conviction. So yeah, and I remember him actually saying in an interview, performing live is almost like a ritual. So yeah, just for the energy, the charisma, and the enthusiasm, it has to be Legion of Marduk. Speaking of which, he's not their current vocalist. The current vocalist is Mortis, who does a brilliant job as well. He's also a very charismatic performer, but understand, please, that when I first got into this band, it was 1997 with the Heaven Shall Burn album. So like from 1997 to 2001 in particular, I was completely obsessed with Marduk, and that was my introduction to the band, you know, and discovering earlier albums as well. So kind of like for nostalgic reasons as well, but like of course Mortis is a brilliant singer and frontman as well, but my favorite frontman of all time would have to be Legion. Okay. All right. Number 15, what's your favorite love song? Okay, I'm not really a love song guy, not surprisingly, but if I had to choose one, it would be from this Crocus album, and the song is Let This Love Begin. So I'm not sure if you've heard that or not, maybe, maybe not, but it's sort of like, some would say it's a power ballad, but what I like is, you know, a lot of these sort of glam hair metal love songs, like power ballads, they're really cheesy and soppy and sentimental, but this one isn't. It actually has some really emotional, dark atmosphere on it, especially on the pre-chorus and pre-chorus, like especially that part where it says, but you and me were made for love. Like, lyrics are cheesy, but so what? Cheesy isn't necessarily bad. And it's just a kind of fist-pumping song. And then the chorus, the sort of saccharine-soaked cheese comes in there, but it's still a good sing-along chorus. Like I said, cheesy's not bad. But yeah, especially the pre-chorus and the pre-chorus, so atmospheric and so dark. So that would be my favorite love song, Let This Love Begin by Crocus. Check it out if you haven't. All right. Next. Okay, question 16. What song can you sing every word to with a gun to your head? That would be Hammer Smashed Face by Cannibal Corpse. I've known the song. I've known the lyrics since I was 14 years old, so back in the day when the song came out. Sorry, I forgot to get the cover of this, but everyone knows Cannibal Corpse and Hammer Smashed Face. So it was at that time, I was 14 years old when this was released, and I was just so blown away by the shock value and violent nature of the lyrics. So I became obsessed with them and learned them very quickly, and now I can sing along to them. So could I do this song with death metal karaoke? Absolutely, I think, yeah. So that's the song that I could sing every word to with a gun to my head, Hammer Smashed Face by Cannibal Corpse. Okay, question 17. What music did your parents listen to when you were growing up? Okay, probably all of the bands that were typical of my parents' generation. So what I remember them listening to and what I listened to as a result was bands like the Beatles, Rolling Stones, especially the Rolling Stones, Dire Straits to a degree, Beach Boys, and then the more sort of metallic stuff as well, like Led Zeppelin and Cream. So yeah, they would be the main ones, and I think that sort of perhaps set me on a path to discovering the music I like today. It's possible. But yeah, so my parents had kind of cool musical tastes, I would say. Yeah. All right, and question 18. Are there any artists you can't stand? Okay, yes, of course. There are bands or singers where I absolutely hate their music, but I find it's not very productive to just bitch about those people and say, oh, I hate this band or I hate this artist. Like, my rule is if I don't like a band or a singer's music, I simply won't listen to it. There's no need to bitch about it. So I don't want to name names or seem like I'm singling people out, but I can just tell you in a very broad sense 2 musical styles which I can't stand. So first of all, contemporary R&B. Now, of course, R&B was originally rhythm and blues music, but contemporary R&B is what emerged in the late 80s and especially the 90s, which was a newer style of R&B, becoming known as contemporary R&B, which combines rhythm and blues with various elements of pop, soul, funk, disco, hip-hop, and electronic music. So nothing against those styles, the influences individually, but I just find modern R&B music is fucking depressing. Like, God, people talk about black metal being depressing. Fuck no, R&B is incredibly depressing. I just don't understand. Oh, again, no offense, I don't judge anyone for any music they like, but I can't fucking stand contemporary R&B. And the same thing applies to modern pop music. Fucking atrocious. You know, that really like whiny, breathy, melodramatic pop music that they often blast in restaurants and cafes because they think you want to hear it and you fucking don't. But yeah, I just absolutely hate that shit. You know, the really breathy, whiny songs in particular. It's a shame because, you know, I probably sound like an old timer now, but you know, I have to admit that in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of good pop music. And again, I won't mention names, but like 80s and 90s had catchy, good pop a lot of the time, but modern pop music fucking sucks in my opinion, and I can't stand it. Yeah, so the two styles I can't stand, modern pop and contemporary R&B. Yeah, there you go. And if you like it, no offense, that's good for you, just not for me. Okay, question 19. Do you prefer live music or recorded music? Okay, for me, recorded music, definitely, because live albums capture the energy and atmosphere of a concert, but the sound quality is never as good. So I like to hear the original version, studio version, because I just think the sound quality is best, so you can hear the song at its best. So I think recorded, I think for like live music is great to see if you're there live, but in terms of listening to live albums, no. So I would say recorded music for sure, generally speaking. Okay, question 20. What's a music take that would really surprise people who know you? I think I've already been through this before, like talking about hot takes and what's the word? Guilty pleasures. You know, as in you should never feel guilty about any style of music you like, but just some styles that might surprise people that I listen to. But I do have an open mind. Like I said, it's 90% black metal, death metal, and heavy metal. But some other styles I like are some alternative rock, especially from the 90s. And also a lot of pop rock, if it's good pop rock. You know, for example, Fleetwood Mac. You know, just as an example, or I mentioned Ice House before. A lot of 80s stuff. Yeah, and especially, you know, Australia had a really good pop rock scene in the 80s, you know, with bands like Men at Work and so on. So yeah, that kind of thing, I do like it. And this might really surprise people. I also actually like a lot of electronic music, but particularly trance. It's funny because I know some people listen to electronic music and they say, I like all styles except for trance, but for me, trance is my favorite, especially psychedelic trance or psytrance, just because it's so atmospheric and it takes you on a musical journey. So psytrance, acid trance, and also dark trance, I really like that. And it's just a nice alternative to metal music, especially to listen to at night, because psytrance can be quite tranquil music. It's not all like just, you know, hard techno or anything. But yeah, I really like the atmosphere of that. So, and also some hip hop, except I have to say, very rarely these days, and it's a very select amount. Like normally, golden oldies from the 80s and 90s, but rap and hip hop, you know, some of the famous bands from that era, I still do like, because they remind me of my childhood. Because when I was growing up, a lot of my friends like that music, and of course I like some of it too. So yeah, so I like some alternative rock, pop rock, electronic music, and hip hop. How about you? Oh, classical music as well. Yeah. All right. Question 21. What's a music take that you've made in public that you'd love to take back? Okay, so a few years ago I did a video response about 10 terrible albums in my collection, and I actually take some of those albums back. So I said this album by Deicide, In Torment in Hell, was terrible. I think even Glenn Benton said it was fucking crap, something along those lines. But because I didn't like this one much and I neglected it for many years, then I started listening to it again, and for some reason it sounded the freshest. So I've actually changed my tune, and I mentioned this in Patrick's thread about change perspectives or something like that. But yeah, I've actually grown to like this album, so I take back that I said that this album was terrible. It's got some fantastic songs. Probably my favorites on this would be Child of God, Let It Be Done, and Lurking Among Us. But just typical classic Deicide. It's not one of their best albums, but it's certainly not terrible. So I take back saying it was terrible. I actually like it now, In Torment in Hell by Deicide. And I also said that this album was terrible. This is just the greatest hits. This Finnish kind of like goth rock band that, you know, they play what they call love metal. I said this was a terrible album too, but I take that back. I do appreciate the musical talent of this band, but it's just not my style. It's not what I like. So I don't listen to this, but that's a bit ignorant and judgmental to say, oh, it's terrible just because I don't like it. Even though I said that about modern pop and contemporary R&B, I stick by that. But yeah, this is not a terrible band or album. It's just not the style for me. So yes, I take that back as well. All right. And question 22. What's your favorite holiday song? Okay, I don't really have one, but it probably sounds like a cliche, but it is a good song to suit a holiday. Remember where I'm from, holiday, when I say holiday, it's what the equivalent of the American term vacation. So I would say Holiday by Scorpions, and that's exactly what it's about. Like, I better not show this album cover because it's quite sexually explicit, but yeah, the song Holiday, Rudolf Schenker was writing the music on guitar, and Klaus Meine, the vocalist, said to him, oh, this song reminds me of a holiday, so therefore they wrote the song. So perfect for a sort of a holiday on an island or at a beach, something like that. I think they even say that, like, escape your troubles for the sun. Yeah, good classic song. And there are some other great ballads on this album, like Always Somewhere. I've grown to like that song. But yes, I digress. Holiday is a great holiday song. And also, pretty much any song from this album, Rastaman Vibration by Bob Marley and the Wailers. So this music I associate with sitting on a beach and drinking cocktails, or on a tropical island for that matter. So some of the songs which I think would really suit that atmosphere would be songs like Roots Rock Reggae, Want More, I love that song, Crazy Bald Head as well, and Night Shift. And I know, like, again, the lyrics are very sort of politically charged on this album, and there's nothing wrong with that, but all I'm saying is maybe the song isn't supposed to be associated with the holiday, but the atmosphere of the music is to me. So any song from this would be good holiday music. Okay, and question 23. Have you ever been to a music festival? Yes, of course, many. So some of the ones I've been to, in Australia, I went to the Big Day Out, I think 3 or 4 times, which was like a big musical festival, sort of the Australian equivalent of Lollapalooza, where it was a lot of like alternative rock bands. This was in the 90s, so I went for a few years there to the Big Day Out in Sydney. Also Wacken Metal Festival in Germany. I went there in the year 2000. That's before it became commercial and crap and overcrowded. So I was very happy to go to Wacken when it was still, relatively speaking, an underground concert with a lot of black and death metal bands, some heavy metal bands as well. So that was cool. I also went to Grass Pop in Belgium in 2015, and that again featured an eclectic mix of metal bands like heavy metal, death metal, and black metal. Also some subgenres which I didn't like, but just with that lineup, 2015, just the mile-long list of bands that I was dying to see, I couldn't pass that up, so I went to Grass Pop in 2015. I've also been to Dark Easter Extreme Metal Festival in Germany. That was 1 year, 2019, again because it was a pretty good lineup. And I went with a friend from Australia who's living in Germany now. Yeah, so that was a good time, except I have to say, the venue that they use for Dark Easter fucking sucks. Yeah, it's this big steel shed with this distant stage, and they have 2 sort of amphitheaters and this big floor. It's very overcrowded. I didn't like it. I can't remember the name of the venue, but it's a famous one. Sorry, did I say Berlin? I meant Munich. Sorry, this Dark Easter is in Munich. Yeah. And this music venue sucks. So the bands were good though. And what's the other festival I've been to? Oh yes, Steelfest. So the black metal festival in Finland. I went there 2 years in a row, 2022 and 2023, and met some friends from YouTube there. And both years the bands were fantastic. But I haven't been since actually, because in general they're tending to repeat the same bands every year, and it's a long way for me to fly to Finland. In fact, 12 hours direct. So yes, I don't think I'll be going there again in the near future, but you never know with other bands they might feature in future. Sorry, I'm distracted because there's another van parked in front of my house, and I wish they wouldn't do that. Hopefully just a delivery. Okay, question 24. What's your favorite music video? Oh, I have so many, and I'm probably leaving some out here, but I would say I really like the video clip of Reason to Live by Kiss. That's a ballad, and it's mostly them playing on a stage, but I think it's mostly because of the song that I like that. Just it's a great atmospheric song, and I just love it. And I think that the video clip really gives the song justice, so I really like that. Also, probably my favorite video clip of all time might be Mother North by Satyricon. Norwegian black metal, you know, where they're all grimly face painted and walking through the forest and conducting ceremonies, and there's That's the naked woman in it. What's it? Monica Broughton, who I think is a Norwegian porn star. But yes, it's a very atmospheric clip. Like it's got, corpse painted grim people walking through the forest and conducting evil ceremonies. And the song is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Mother North by Satyricon. Also, Meat Sandwich by Gore. I know Gore is considered kind of like comedy metal, and they are, but that's why I love the video clip. It's absolutely hilarious and very weird, especially when you see the lead singer Odorous playing basketball against Jesus. It's just bizarre, but you also see the band, because they're aliens, you see them walking through the town, reading maps. It's funny. So I like Meat Sandwich, and this one might surprise some people, but I think some people know that I like hair metal, but another one of my favorite video clips is Cherry Pie by Warrant, just because it's such a fun song and the band looks like they're having an absolute blast, probably with the assistance of chemicals provided by the record company. But yeah, it's hilarious, and it has a really hot woman in it, dancing out all the innuendos of what the song's about. And I also like the fact that the drummer hits the drums, but they're made of cherry pie, so they start splattering everywhere, and it's a good song. Yeah, so there's some of my favorites there, some of my favorite video clips. And question 25, is there a song that always makes you cry? No. Yeah, in a word, no. So when I say that, I'm not trying to be tough or something, but I'm just saying I can't actually think of a song which has brought me to tears before. But looking at other people's answers on this, I'm sure it's all about context. So if there's a song which you associate with a very sad moment, yeah, it could actually have that effect on you. That just hasn't happened to me yet. But, music is emotive and it's emotional. So I think it's, quite normal for songs to make people cry. I just haven't really found any which make me cry yet, but we'll see. All right, so, wow, I was expecting this video to be a lot shorter than it has been, so sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed my answers. I went into some detail. Oh, me? Never. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it regardless. I doubt Myke is familiar with my channel and probably won't see this video, but his channel is really cool, so you should definitely check it out. And yeah, as per the link in the description. And that's all I have to say. I've been going on long enough, so I will be back again in the near future doing another music collection video. I think going back to heavy metal vinyl, but I'm not sure. But you can wait and see until then. So in the meantime, thank you very much, as always, for your support of the channel. I hope you continue to watch. I hope you don't unsubscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.